Here's how to remove a fuse box, junction box, relay box from a GMT800 truck. So this is half-ton, should apply to 3/4 and 1-ton trucks as well. 99 2000 to 2006 Silverado, Sierra, Denali, Tahoe, Suburban, Escalade, any of those. So this is this is from my 2005 Escalade, and this is part number 1511-5617-02. This is the same part number. This came out of a Tahoe. This probably doesn't need to be replaced, but I did have a short that burned this plug a bit, so I'm just going to replace it with a good used one. This should apply to all of the same chassis, GMT800 chassis. This is just the particular fuse box for this model. So step one is to remove the cover. You don't actually have to remove this, but you can if you want. The fuse box is already missing. Yours will have the fuse box there. And then you're going to want to remove this whole shroud. So it is one catch here. You're just going to want to lift up on that. And then another kind of under the brake lines. It's kind of tricky to see, but there. And then there's this plug here. You're going to want to put, I've already undone it, but you're going to want to put a flat blade screwdriver between the plug and the tab and push down on this tab in the middle. And then you should be able to slide this off this way, this whole plug. And then this thing should just lift up and out. So the next item is going to be to disconnect the fuse box from the battery, which I've already done. And I'll show you on the fuse box, but there's a big connection here. These are all positive connections. One there, and a third one here. So on the fuse box, they are a 7mm bolt. I believe this is a 10mm nut, flange nut, and a 13mm flange nut. You're just going to want to undo those. Maybe cover the tabs in electrical tape so that you don't short them on any of the chassis parts, and then move on to the next step. So the next step will be to tilt the fuse box. It actually is on hinges here, and it has a tab right here, and that tab clips on in the front here. So what you're going to want to do is push this tab back and then lift this side of the fuse box, the driver's side, up, and that'll expose all of the harnesses, and they'll all be connected kind of like this. And I'll show you how to take those off now. So in this particular fuse box, there are 8 total connections. 2 of these big squares and 2 of the big rectangles here, and then 4 of these large gauge plugs down here at the bottom. So the big squares are pretty simple. They can just be finicky. It's just a 7mm bolt, captured bolt in the center. And then what I found was that because there are so many connections on all these posts, it can be difficult to take the plug out, especially if this whole thing is upside down and the angle's not great. So what I did was, once I loosened the bolts, I actually took a set of right angle needle nose pliers and basically grabbed the bolt, squeezed really hard, and then wiggled back and forth, wiggled the whole plug with the bolt back and forth, and just worked on it for like a couple minutes each plug until I was able to slide it out. So the other plugs you'll have to release are these 4 down here. I've already done one. And the best way I found to do these is that in here they have a tab that sits under this and locks in. So I found that if you take a flathead screwdriver and wedge it in there without breaking the plastic, kind of work the tab back. I need 2 hands, but work the tab back with this. And then as you push the tab back, pull up on this plug, and it should come out pretty easily. Another tip for these big plugs, they are pretty hard, is in order to work them loose, you can get a flathead and put it in between the box and the plug. There's a little tab. I need 2 hands once again, but careful not to break the box or the tab on the plug, but you can put it in there and kind of pry up at each corner of the big MetroPack plugs. So once all of these plugs, the MetroPack plugs, are unplugged, then you can go ahead and release these 2 tabs on either side of the fuse box, and it should just lift out. So before I button this fuse box up again, I just wanted to show you something on GMT400 trucks. This is a common problem, and it's been addressed by people other than me, but for some reason, the wiring may be soy-based, unsure. Rodents love it. So if I get in here, if I can get the light just right, this wire, I'm gonna cover it with electrical tape because I don't wanna unpin this whole connector and dig it out. But you can see it's been chewed there, and the copper is showing through a little bit. And obviously if the rodents chew through coincident wires, that can become a problem. Thankfully, it's just this one though.